And welcome into a championship Monday edition of Main Event Sports TV, live 1201 South 1st Street, Old Louisville Pizza Pub. Rashawn Myers, Haven Harrington, 104.7 WLOU is in the building and it's going down. Haven in the house tonight.
Yes, I'm telling you, this was a championship game that only our producer Jay has predicted, because I don't think any of us had Villanova in the championship game.
I don't know. Listen to a lot of people. Everybody act like Villanova is like Apollo Creed. Like, you know, they got like 85 nicknames, and you know, Michigan's just happy to be here. So I don't know. You know what? Villanova has looked impressive. They've won their games by about 17 points per game. So I mean, they're looking really good. Like it's kind of like the Boston Red Sox used to be the lowball losers. Then they won a championship, and then all of a sudden they became like the team. I feel like Villanova's kind of on that. They've already won one championship. Now they're going for 2 and 3 years. But I know we're going to get into that a little bit later on.
But first up, we want to talk about the news of the day from the Old Louisville Pizza Pub here at 1201 South 1st Street. They got drink specials. We got food specials. As you see, we got the drink special going on right now. You know, with every show, you never know who's going to come through the door. You never know who you're going to see. And I'm looking over here, my man with the blue button-down shirt. My man Josh the intern.
That's right.
The original. Man, when he got married on us, didn't say nothing.
Absolutely.
Brother
come back all grown.
I know, right? He got braces and a beard. He's all grown up now.
That's what I'm saying, man. That's awesome. But every Monday night, man, it's always just an awesome surprise. We've had so many folks come through. It's just continuing to grow. I see my man George Fields has just walked in the building looking debonair.
Looking fresh.
You know what I'm saying? Looking good. So we're gonna have to get him on the mic a little bit as well.
He's like a male model.
But I'm telling you, it's amazing to me just how this show has just continued to grow. Everybody's kind of getting on board with the TV show. Absolutely.
The blind swordsman.
Yep.
Right here behind me.
That's what I'm saying. We're building that. You know, we have characters now. You know what I'm saying?
A cast of thousands.
We got our man Wayne. He came in last week.
Once again, like everybody else.
I said everybody grabbing wings.
Had a pizza last week. Came and got like 2 slices of pizza. Before that, Carl Kellen came and grabbed some wings. So it's just crazy.
You just never know who's going to show up. We had James Dixon a couple of weeks ago talking about everything good going on with Louisville TKO Top Notch Boxing. Of course, they have a big event coming up in a couple of weeks. So, you know.
27th.
Hey.
You guys stay tuned because we're going to have a whole bunch of fighters come through here. Actually, we're also going to have Evander Holyfield on here as well.
The real deal is coming through.
So next couple of weeks, pay attention because we're going to let you know when Evander, the real deal Holyfield, is going to be on this show live. And you guys can talk to him, send in questions, the whole king caboodle. But you know what? Let's go ahead and let's talk about what we want to talk about for this first segment, which is Louisville's coaching hire of Chris Mack. Man, you know what? We went to a press conference. And this dude just said everything right. Almost, he's been a coach for 9 years. So you kind of expect to know, like, how this whole thing works. But he didn't speak in coach speak. It wasn't one of those where we're going to put our pants leg on just one leg at a time and we lace them up like everybody else lace them up. And
iron sharpens iron.
Iron sharpens iron. We're just going to take one game at a time. I'm here just, I play fealty to Denny Crum and Rick Pitino and blah, 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 blah. No, this man came in and pretty much was just honest. Like, yeah, this was going on. This is what we need to do. This is what's going to happen next. We got to keep the current players. I'm going to try and bring all my staff over. I'm not sure if all my staff will come over because one of those guys may get the Xavier job. We'll see. If he doesn't get the job, then this is what I'm looking at. I'm like, what? You never got this with Rick.
Oh, no. No,
I got this with Rick.
It is definitely a big time difference, just in terms of style, just in terms of swag, just in terms this is like a night and day difference in the hires from Rick Pitino to Chris Mack. And I tell you what I like about him. when you look at Xavier University, they've had some excellent coaches come through there. Skip Prosser, who ultimately ended up at Wake Forest, Thad Matta, that ultimately ended up at Ohio State. You had Sean Miller, who's currently the coach at Arizona, but don't know how long. And Chris Mack came through after all these guys. And after so many successful hires, Chris Mack, even as good as those guys were, has been better than all of them. And it's absolutely amazing to me how good he's been, in 9 years, taking Xavier to the second week in the tournament 4 times, getting to the Elite Eight twice, having a 2 seed 2 years ago and a 1 seed this past season. I mean, just an unbelievable coach, very smart, very charismatic, but he has that. While Rick Pitino was definitely like the elitist, I'm sitting in the back where can't nobody talk to me, velvet ropes, Chris Mack is like the dude that's going to chill right in the front of the building and shake everybody's hand.
Stop that. To show you what type of dude Chris Mack is, when this guy came in town, the first place he went was the Indies on like 12th and Broadway.
Yes.
That's all you need to know. He was the Indies at 12th and Broadway.
You know what I'm saying? Getting his 3-piece and a biscuit and the hot wedges. No, he had the spicy wedges. No, he had the spicy wedges.
You know he did. That's all you need to know. He was the Indies on 12th and Broadway. You know, he has all his.
Do you think you would ever see Rick Pitino at Indies?
Man, we didn't see Rick Pitino anything but like a 5-star restaurant. And if you did, he'd be in the back with the roped off section that says, "Leave me alone."
Yeah. He would. But no, I mean, but that's absolutely. I mean, it is night and day, the difference between these two coaches. And it's just amazing to me that, Louisville in this climate, already serving suspension and probation for the Katina Powell scandal, facing FBI investigation for the Brian Bowen situation, that you're able to go out there and literally, Chris Mack, if I was to put together a list of coaching candidates, okay, and I was going to look, and there's guys that you know you can't get. You're not getting Bill Self at Kansas. You're not getting Coach K from Duke. You're not going to get Cal from UK, even though nobody around here will want him. You're not going to get Roy Williams from North Carolina. You're not going to get Tom Izzo from Michigan State. Those are guys you know you're not going to get, okay? Then you have that second group of coaches, okay? I put Chris Mack at the top of that list. Like, literally, I think he was the best guy that Louisville could have gotten.
He's the second best guy that Louisville could have gotten.
Second best.
Second best.
I personally think he's the best. Who do you think is the best guy they could have hired?
He's coaching tonight.
He's coaching tonight. Jay Wright.
Jay Wright from Villanova.
That's fair.
Been the number one. I mean, because he's won a championship at Villanova.
Yeah.
And may win his second one in 3 years.
Now, I will say, I would, especially with the way Jay Wright has coached his alma mater the last couple of years, he's a Philly guy. He's not leaving Villanova, so I would definitely put him in that list of coaches that you're not going to get either.
No, you don't know because Chris Mack he's alum of Xavier.
That's true.
That's true, Cincinnati.
But Xavier, Villanova has pedigree. They have a national championship pedigree. Rollie Massimino and those guys won a championship, upsetting Georgetown back in the day when they shot the ball like 5 times for the whole game. Yeah, but they won. You know what I mean? They have Big East tradition.
But you really can't count that because they really fell off for several years after.
They did. But they at least have some type of tradition. Xavier, like, their biggest tradition is the fact they got into a fight with Cincinnati that one year when they ended the series. Chris Mack was actually coaching there. Remember that?
I remember
that, yeah. That's like the most famous thing that, can you name like 5 players that played at Xavier?
Remy Abel.
Yeah.
That's because he's my cousin.
Anybody else?
No.
David West, of course, the current, Golden State Warrior. And that's probably about it. That's all I got.
Remy Abel.
And whoever was on the team when Xavier beat Louisville.
Yeah, whatever.
Like, exactly. That's my thing. That's Xavier's tradition. They don't really have, they're not steeped in tradition. The Big East was like the greatest basketball conference forever. Xavier was a part of that, so there's a lot of built-in history from that as well. Yeah. There was recognition. Everybody remembers Allen Ray and Scotty Reynolds and, some of the great players that have come through Villanova. Yeah, they weren't as successful as a Syracuse or a Georgetown, St. John's in their heyday, but they were always recognized as
St. John's haven't been good since.
Hey, I'm old school, man. I love Chris Mullin.
St. John's has not been good since DMC was Gracio's Hall.
We're being tempted by wings right now.
Ill Bill, Kill Bill.
Okay, he's trying to break my concentration.
Okay,
man.
You know what? We're gonna break loud.
Break my concentration.
Come on, we'll bring live on camera to.
I like that.
We'll bring live on camera to deliver these great wings.
Hey,
but hold up, come here. No. That stuff like come on right back.
Hey,
I'm gonna get your take on it.
I want to tell y'all something, man. If you all have never gotten the wings here from Old Louisville Pizza Pub, it may be Old Louisville Pizza Pub, but I'm telling you, they have the best wings.
Oh, and wait till you see
in the city.
They come out with the dry rub.
The dry rub those are the best. I promise you, they are the best. Absolutely. So I'm just putting it out there. You know what I'm saying? And our man, Mr. William Wright, was nice enough to
Kill Bill,
bring us
the great MC on the man.
So some great wings. What's going on with you, sir?
Not much at all. Glad to be in the house tonight. You know, feeling a little better tonight. Glad to be here.
You look good. You look like you're getting along well. You know what I'm saying?
I do what I can.
Got that mega. Now I know everybody who listened to the Main Event Sports Show on Saturday. You know, we brought up the Chris Mack conversation, and while I love the Chris Mack hire, I think he's perfect for the job. He's perfect for the school. I feel he's going to be a galvanizing force. He's going to bring excitement to the fan base. He's going to be a great coach. You disagree with me in regards to that?
I disagree with the fact that he is the best out of the people that were considered.
Yes.
Now, out of the people who were actually truly in the running, maybe he was the best, because some of you may not know that Mark Jackson of NBA fame and the Golden State Warrior fame, and also Jason Kidd were brought in town to be interviewed or what have you for the job. I'm not convinced that they were truly being considered.
Yes. Do you think it was just that whole everybody always talks about the Rooney Rule and you have to go out there and interview minority candidates? Do you feel as if Louisville was just checking off a box?
I feel like that is very possible, because if you think about it, none of the people that they brought in, the minority, so to speak,
yes,
were people that would literally be considered for this position ahead of some of the other people that were on that list that was published. I don't know if you all had a chance to see it on the news. Shaka Smart was actually on the list. Yeah, I thought would have been an excellent choice.
Yeah, we got intel that Jason Kidd was actually in the building.
Yeah. Now, I said his name. Now, what my take on it in reference to how I feel that Mark Jackson would have been an excellent candidate for the position is, first of all, with Louisville still trying to change their image ahead of what has gone down over the past few years. The fact that Mark Jackson is an ordained minister, I think, would have served that university very well.
Yes.
Because even as an NBA coach, he had a lot of his players that would come and, to see him preach.
Yes.
Now, the idea of him having the U of L players doing the same thing would give them a better image. Then also, how it's definitely going to take some time for Chris Mack to bring the fans back on board.
Yeah.
The only thing that's going to bring them back right now is winning. However, had you brought Mark Jackson to town, I think the fans would have jumped right back on board.
That's a buzz name.
And it's a buzz name. It's a famous name, a famous face, somebody who I think a lot of recruits would.
You don't think Bill Murray's going to bring the people in? You know, his son, Eric, is the assistant coach at Louisville now. They said Bill Murray's going to be coming to the games. You don't think Bill Murray's going to get him in the seats?
Bill Murray, no. I think he will.
I love.
Comes to some of the games, and that's a big if. I don't know. Did he frequent Xavier's games?
He would pop up. He didn't come to every game, but he would pop up from here.
Pop up is not going to sell out the Yum Center.
No.
No. Back of the ticket that he's going to definitely be there. That's a whole other story.
Scrooge, that's another good movie.
Yeah, that's a good movie. But on a serious tip, though, you think about Mark Jackson and all that he could have brought here, and how a lot of recruits would have flocked to this school with the idea of being a playing under Mark Jackson. It would have been instantaneous. So Louisville would have had a one-off year from where they're coming from. They would have had this current year, which was an off year, and then they would have been right back to where they were without a rebuilding process. But you got to consider those type of things.
That's true, but you know what? I'm speechless, and this man went to like 4 or 5 different Bill Murray movies and missed the only one that's actually filmed in Louisville. Missed the only one that is filmed on the location of the Yum Center. And probably Bill Murray's best movie,
and that would be
outside of Ghostbusters, Stripes. Stripes was filmed in downtown Louisville.
Have y'all heard of Stripes before? I'm not.
What?
I thought you were talking about
Stripes.
the movie where they did the Demolition Man when Wesley Snipes was in town. I was like, Bill Murray wasn't in Demolition Man.
Stripes, man.
Stripes?
Bill Murray's like greatest movie before Ghostbusters, 1980s.
K or P?
Stripes, as in stripes on his shirt, as in the 3 stripes on his shoes.
Gotcha.
Stripes. You never heard of Stripes?
No, sir, I have not.
Okay, I'm done. You know what? I'm going to let you guys take over this segment. I'm out.
And the ratings just went sky high.
No, you know what? I agree with you on a lot of what you said. I think that a lot of the Louisville fans, while Chris Mack was probably very well received by about 55 to 60% of the fan base, mostly the basketball heads, the people that follow college basketball close.
People who are familiar with sports know that he's a good choice.
Yes.
And what you got to realize, it's like one of the problems that the NFL is having by not realizing that the majority of their fans watch football for entertainment, not for X's and O's. And the majority of the people who feel the Yum Center are there for entertainment, they're not sports heads.
Yes.
So what I'm saying is,
and that was the thing.
Chris Mack is an excellent X and O coach.
But that's why Rick Pitino was such a huge, because he was a star.
He was a star.
You know what I'm saying?
You cannot follow that up with.
He was in Blue Chips. You feel me? He was one of the coaches in Blue Chips. He's one of those guys.
He got game.
Yeah.
It's like you can't follow that up with somebody who's you never heard of before.
Well, I think at the end of the day, like you said, if you want to win. If you want to win press clippings and you want to win ESPN Sports Center and get that bottom line roll just going to where this guy's everywhere, that would have done that.
It would have been breaking news on the if Mark Jackson had got hired here in Louisville, Kentucky.
I agree.
I'm going to tell you the only thing I knew about Xavier was the Centos Center, which is where they play, or where they were playing in early 2000, because I went there for an Isley Brothers concert, you dig? One of the livest concerts I've ever seen. If you all know, the Isley Brothers are home to Cincinnati, Ohio. So you dig? And this was during the time of the. This was when he signed that a couple of years ago at the Midwest Music Fest. He's aging, but this is during the boycotts up in Cincinnati where people were boycotting the Jazz Festival. The Jazz Festival hadn't taken place in a little while.
Yes.
This was the first time some soul had performed in Cincinnati, and then also you had some hometown heroes performing. I digress. Anyway, for all of you who listen to the Main Event Sports on 104.7 WLOU, the home of R&G, on Saturdays from 6 to 7 p.m., I am the man they call BTI, Billy the Intern, and now you have matched a face with the voice, and I shall wrap my cloak around me again and disappear. Poof.
So there we go. That's just one man's opinion, by the way.
You know, honestly, Chris.
But I do appreciate that.
No, I will say this. You know, and just like my man BTI, I was also caping for Mark Jackson.
Yes.
I thought Mark Jackson.
We talked about it for, years, actually.
Yeah, because I thought once Pitino left, for whatever reason, my first choice would have been Mark Jackson, because what he did with Golden State shows that he knows talent. Mm-hmm. He can put talent together, and he can coach that talent, and he knows how to win.
Yeah, plus you have this is the guy who built the current dynasty that is the Golden State Warriors. So when you have, a guy who has that much notoriety, that's a lot's going to come with that. But once again, you look at the detractors of that. He's never coached in college before. He's never recruited before. He doesn't have a recruiting base.
He doesn't.
We don't know. Recruiting in today's college, environment is a 365, 7-day-a-week, 24-hour-a-day job. There is no off-season for recruiting. And a pro coach, all you have to do is get the game plan together, give some motivational words, and then let your offensive and defensive coordinators do their thing to get the team ready to play. You have an X&O guy, you have a defensive specialist, you have an offensive specialist, you have a shooting coach. You don't have all that in college.
Here's the thing. Game recognizes game. And
True.
a coach can coach at any level. And by now, recruiting would be an Achilles heel maybe after the first 2 or 3 seasons.
Yeah, Avery Johnson struggled at first, but now he got...
that first 2 or 3 seasons, the difference between him and Avery Johnson would be he could come out and say, listen, I built the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
I was the architect of that team. You play for me because I know talent. You come play for me, and I can guarantee you every NBA coach is going to look at who I bring in.
Yeah.
Because they know what I did at Golden State. And that's for kids trying to make it to the next level. I mean, what more do you have to say? What more do you have to say?
I agree with you. I mean, I think that there wouldn't have been anything wrong with it. And, ultimately, Alabama's recruiting has started to take off. They had a very good season this year. Colin Sexton was outstanding for Alabama. But I will say that Mark Jackson at Louisville is Mark Jackson at Louisville, not Avery Johnson at a football school. So you're going to get a recruiting bump from that as well. So I'm not saying it wouldn't work. All I'm saying is I think for Chris Mack, his accomplishments on the court, you know how good he is. He's already recruiting in your area where you like to focus on, Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, and kind of focus your recruiting efforts around there. Very fertile recruiting grounds.
Well, and plus, as he said at his press conference at Xavier, he had no choice but to kind of recruit in this region.
I have to correct you. Xavier, not Xavier.
Excuse me, Xavier.
Just Xavier.
That's why I said Xavier.
Xavier.
Thank you, Professor X.
All right, there we go.
Xavier. So we got Saint X. So you say we emphasize the X in Xavier. Thank you. He had no choice because he didn't have the budget to fly to California and recruit that 5-star kid. He couldn't fly to New York and recruit that 5-star kid. Now that he's at Louisville, he has that budget.
Yeah.
Where he can fly all over the country to recruit whoever he needs, that he sees fit to recruit for this program.
That's true.
So that's going to be a bigger step. But you know what? I will say this. Outside my love for Mark Jackson, yes, this was a home run hire for the University of Louisville. This was the number one guy. They went out and got the number one guy. So this should ease a lot of tensions within Louisville's fan base. Louisville targeted Chris Mack. They made no secret. They tried to make it secret. It was like the worst kept secret in the history of sports media.
I think we heard the contract was done in like December from some of our people inside the program.
I mean, yeah, we was about Chris Mack like in November. Like midway through the season, it was like, yeah, it's Chris Mack. So you had Chris Mack, your number one guy. You went after him, you got him. Great. This also helps Vince Tyra because Vince Tyra got his very first hire. It looks like it's going to be a home run hire. So now people, kind of ease off him a little bit.
Yeah.
And the comparisons between him and Tom Jurich and the donors will maybe start to come back now. They once get to meet Chris Mack and kind of see the direction of program, some of the donors will come back. That'll pick back up. So everything looks like it's going in the right direction.
Yeah, I think that Louisville has done everything we could. We talked about the most important thing for Louisville to do was whoever the next coach was, he was going to have to recruit the current players because we talked about the amount of young talent that they had there. Darius Perry looks like a dynamic young playmaker up and coming. Jordan Waller looks like he might be one of the best shooters.
It's hard to clocks, so we don't know.
But he played well when he was in there. I mean, he literally won the game on the road at Notre Dame.
Yes, he did.
Those two guys stepped up huge. Malik Williams, a 6'11", post player that can step out and shoot three over 40%.
Enoch, who had to sit out.
Stephen Enoch, your big 6'10", 6'11", 260-pound post player.
And the good thing is, Chris Mack recruited half these guys already, trying to get them to Xavier. So they kind of knew who he was from the get-go. So it's going to be great.
I mean, it's huge. And from what we've heard, all these guys are coming back. It doesn't look like anybody's leaving. So you're going to hold on. We knew that Dwayne Sutton, Ryan McMahon, those guys were going to pretty much stay. But everybody else was kind of up in the air. So to hear that all these guys are coming back, in my opinion, I think that's huge.
So now, the other thing is going forward that a lot of Louisville fans have to get used to is that with Pitino for the past 15 years, this was always a defensive-first type of program. Mm-hmm. Heavy on defense. We'll get to offense sometime in February. Don't worry about that. But defense. With Chris Mack, you may actually see the opposite, which is offense, defense.
And you know what? I think personally, he has a very player-friendly style. And I think the fact that a lot of players, I know it sounds bad to say, a lot of players don't like to learn defense. But the one smart thing that Chris Mack does is he plays a pretty standard defensive style.
I.e. Calipari.
He's going to play. He's going to, play to your length, try to pack the paint, not let the guys get into the middle. He's going to play a lot of pack line, a lot like Virginia does, but it's going to be a simplified defense where it's not going to be based so much on scouting report to where you need to know the tendency. This guy goes right 73% of the time, and this guy's going to, make this one dribble pull-up every 3 or 4 times down the court. He's not going to overwhelm you with all this defensive strategy. He's going to teach you his defense. He's going to make sure his guys run his defense as well as can be expected, and then he's just going to work on the offense. He's going to get the guys out there, teach them the offense, get them going up and down. I like what he said with the fact that he likes to build his team around his talent and kind of let that dictate the way he plays. And we've seen him have several different styles at Xavier, and they've all been very, very successful. So, I think that just from a personnel standpoint and then from an X and O standpoint, it's pretty much everything you could ask for.
It's going to be interesting because, the way he made it sound just then, almost like a Calipari type of coaching strategy.
Well, it's very
the guys kind of work my system around the talent I have.
You know what? The Wizard of Westwood himself, the greatest coach of all time, UCLA, John Wooden. That was his philosophy. He was like, look, we're going to play defense. We're going to play our defense. We're going to run our plays. We're not going to worry about what the other teams do. We're just going to learn what we do and do it the best we can. And that was John Wooden's pyramid of success. And that's the way he worked, was that he would basically just teach our way and then let everybody else figure it out.
And I know I used Calipari's reference twice, and I know a lot of Louisville fans are going to get mad.
Calm down.
Including BTI. So I'm going to say this. For all the U of L fans that are mad for me using the Calipari reference, I would say this. This may actually be a throwback to the Denny Crum era, who was more of an offensive-minded coach himself.
Well, I just think this is the players of today. It's all about getting young players, getting them into a system, and being able to have them come out and be as successful as they can early on. What people say, young players struggle to play under Coach Pitino because everything was so complicated. So in today's day and age, if you want, the sparkling 5-star, from over the bridge, you got to have something simple to where, look, I'm going to put the ball in your hands. It's going to be very exciting. You're going to get to run up and down, shoot threes, do what you want to do, play your game. And I'm not going to overwhelm you with a bunch of stuff. And that's what these kids want to hear. Unfortunately or fortunately, that's the way of the world now. And I think that's one of the things where Coach Pitino was such a great coach, he could overcome a lot of that. But there were a lot of kids that he missed on simply because he was so old school with how he did things. So I think that this is an injection of new blood. It's a new style. Everybody's going to have to get used to it, but I do think it's going to be very successful.
No, I agree. And I'm excited to see his first couple of games in the Yum Center to see how Louisville fans receive him. I think there's going to be an outpouring of love. I think a lot of folks are really can't wait to see what he's going to do. And especially with his offensive-minded system, he's going to bring a lot more excitement to the Yum Center, especially at the beginning of the season, than what you ever saw Rick Pitino.
Absolutely.
Than what you ever saw. He's actually going to let these guys do what they do. Well, Rick tried to hold these guys. I'm going to say Rick held these guys back, but Rick was just like, whatever. Just play some defense, and we're about scoring points later.
And I tell you what, for you guys want to know what's going to happen with the rest of this roster, I would expect that there's going to be 8 players returning. I do expect, some people are asking, Dingadale, he's not going to go pro, he's not ready, blah, 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 blah. Just like I told you with Donovan Mitchell last year, Dingadale has nothing more that he can do at the college level. It's time for him to go get paid, go get his money. He's going to be gone. Ray Spalding, he's going to be gone as well. And, of course, Quentin Snyder and Honest Mahmoud have, exhausted their eligibility. So they will have 4 scholarships open. I would expect for them to use at least 2 of those spots on graduate transfers. There's been some talk about a player from Albany, one of the best guards, Joe Cremo, is looking at possibly taking one of those scholarships. There's also a young man, a shooting guard from Florida Gulf Coast, Dunk City, that just announced he's going to be transferring. I would expect for Louisville to take a couple of transfers. They're going to try to find at least 1, maybe 2 high school players as well. They want to get at least 1 post and 2 guards, and then maybe a wild card with that 4th spot. So you'll probably hear a lot more on that in the next week to 10 days as the season gets over with, we hear who's transferring, who's not, who's entering their name in the NBA draft, and who's not, and then we'll hear more about that from there. So make sure you stay tuned to the Main Event Sports Show as we will continue to talk about everything going on. Of course, if you can't catch us live or down here at Old Louisville Pizza Pub on Monday nights, you always can go to maineventsports101.com and check out everything that's going on, or just download the app, just search keyword Main Event Sports.
Or also, just hit subscribe. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit subscribe, hit the little bell, because every time a video is uploaded, you'll be notified, and you can watch it on your Apple Fire Stick, Apple TV, the whole kin caboodle. So go ahead and hit subscribe. That way you can get notified when all the videos uploaded. And don't forget, listen to us every Saturday, 104.7 FM, WLOU. If you don't live in Louisville, Kentucky, hey, don't worry about it. All you got to do is go to maineventsports101.com, click Listen Live, and you can catch us. And all our back shows, all our articles from Mark Bacon to Leanne Ehring to the interns, everybody got all the stuff up there. We cover NBA, the whole nine. So check us out. We're there for you.
There we go. So you know what? We're going to go ahead, hit this break, take us a little music interlude, and then we will be back with more Main Event Sports TV, 1201 South 1st Street. Come on down. We got the championship game. It's going to be coming up very soon. Would love to have you come down, get some of these wings, pizza, drink specials. They got Amsterdam on tap. It's going down live. Rashawn Myers, Haven Harrington, Jay Has, BTI, Josh the intern. It's a cast of thousands here. Plus, we got free pool back here. That's some very good pool players that come through here. So if you think you got game, put your face into place, man.
And we got the blind swordsman, so there you go.
There we go. We got a little bit of everything. Hey, this is Rashawn. We'll be back, Main Event Sports.